All right, everyone, we start off today talking about Biden's crime spree, and by Biden, I'm generally referring to Joe Biden. This particular story is actually about IRS whistleblowers giving testimony with regards to the Hunter Biden scheme, specifically with his taxes. And I got to thinking something. What we're seeing now, link in the description archived, of course, you can peruse it at your leisure. You've got another whistleblower now at the IRS saying, look, everything was all messed up with regards to the Hunter Biden tax investigation. This is an instance of white-collar crime. They can be felony charges, although the charges are typically not brought at all against people, unless you're Donald Trump, of course, honk honk. And so that's the Hunter Biden side of things is less meaningful. The only meaningful thing there as far as public policy and stuff that's Biden-related in the Hunter sense is him acting as a middleman with Burisma and other groups to funnel huge amounts of money to his daddy, the big guy who got his cut. I do believe that happened. There's effectively irrefutable evidence at this point, if not outright proof, because it's been covered up. And I was thinking, if we have this story, whistleblowers alleging that from top to bottom, the DOJ leaned on the FBI, and the FBI leaned on the IRS, and the FBI and IRS leaned on the state of Delaware, apparently repeatedly blocking a case from going forward against Hunter Biden. If we have that kind of legal network being weaponized illegally to cover for Hunter Biden, who is an afterthought after all, he's not in politics, he done goofed, but he's not the president of the United States, he's not even a mayor or something. How much more length do you think that the DOJ, FBI, IRS, and so forth, various state entities, are willing to go to cover for Joe Biden, who is in office? Illegitimate as though it may be, it's the asterisk administration. If the DOJ is willing to expend this kind of resources on Hunter, who at the time, we're talking effectively about a crackhead who failed to file proper tax returns and on one case lied on a gun form, which should be considered really big news. The president's crack-smoking son illegally possessed a weapon while he was on crack. We know that to be true, especially because we have pictures from his laptop from around the same time period showing him he was clearly on the pipe on a regular basis, so he lied on those forms again. Technically a felony. It's not about that, though. It's about looking at these government agencies and saying if they're willing to cover up something that doesn't directly impact the Biden administration in any meaningful sense, it's embarrassing, yet the president's son has done weird shit. It's an embarrassment, but it's not really, it has nothing to do with public policy. It has nothing to do with the Biden admin itself, other than the adjacency by blood and the fact that they hang out a lot together, probably sniff girls together and stuff like that. I'm asking how much further the corruption must of necessity go to cover up Joe Biden's end of these crimes. For instance, we had for an extended period of time an FBI that lied knowingly to the American people, claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't even real. Well, this is a Russian disinfo campaign. It's all deep fakes and stuff. Well, we know that that's not true. We know that it's Hunter's laptop. We know that it wasn't stolen. We know the content on it is real in a general sense. As far as the emails there go, some of the recipients were queried and confirmed that the emails were indeed from him, from Hunter Biden, and they detail business dealings. They detail that Joe Biden lied flat out. Now, this part's not illegal, but we know that he lied about meeting with certain people at certain times when he was in the executive capacity as vice president. We know that. We have the Joe Biden classified documents scandal, which is actually kind of a scandal, if not necessarily a really big one, because, again, he's being covered for. He's not going to face any repercussions for doing something that was, in his case, actually illegal. Because some of those documents he apparently took when he was a senator. Well, they don't have any D-class authority now, do they? With all these things piling up, the Hunter Biden adjacency, again, the middleman business dealings, often engaging with foreign entities, classified documents, the obvious weaponization of federal agencies, the sham indictment of Donald Trump, again, in a circumstance that's completely civically unprecedented, getting rid of almost 2.5 centuries of legal and civic precedents in order to literally attack the person that's likely to be running against you for the presidency in 24. How far does the rabbit hole have to go, of necessity, if this is the lengths to which they're willing to go just to cover for someone who did something that is embarrassing to the current regime, to the current cabal running things, how much further would they be willing to go to defend Joe Biden on actionable charges, which is what we appear to have now with the business dealings, etc. Now, as far as gaining proof of that, you have to rely upon effectively the House GOP led by Kevin McCarthy. Republicans that just stymied an attempt to impeach Joe Biden for his various derelictions. Yeah, I have so much faith that they're going to dig real deep and real thoroughly. It's not going to be like a team of archaeologists. They found a bone or a bead necklace or something, and now they're trenching it all out and they're marking it off with little squares and painstakingly digging through centimeter by centimeter, documenting exactly where everything is and analyzing it before sending it off to a bunch of lab monkeys to get it ready for a museum. That's what you're hoping for. Really, what you're going to get from the House Republicans is probably a bunch of toddlers with plastic shovels digging dirt around and throwing at each other. It tends to be how the Republicans operate. The Biden crime spree is much worse than anyone could have possibly anticipated a few years ago. We're getting whistleblower after whistleblower from multiple agencies. We're getting multiple pieces of evidence of multiple cover-ups. It's not even just one at this point. It's more like 3 or 4. The weaponization of the federal system is now at a level that we've never even seen before, and we've seen some shit. We've definitely seen some weaponization of government power. The last time it was approaching this level of bad was maybe the Gilded era, the carpetbagging era, when people were just trading money freely and hiring thugs to go and beat up the presses of the people that were criticizing them. That's basically where we are. We know that it leaks into big tech. Why do you think I'm stymied on YouTube so much but still taking off on Rumble, for example? YouTube doesn't like people who discuss these topics because we're threatening the powers that be that give them their monopolistic hegemonic power over human communication. One hand washes the other. Hunter Biden is an afterthought, and at this point also a distraction. When the Republicans go down that particular path, oh my God, Hunter Biden was undercharged, Hunter Biden this, Hunter Biden that. Okay, that's interesting, but only in the context for the average voter of it being related to crime at the Joe Biden level. Joe Biden's up here. He's, the supposed president. Hunter Biden's down here. He's just a crackhead who did a bunch of business dealings. I don't even care about his corrupt business dealings unless it involves then VP Joe Biden. They need to get their house literally in order at this point. The crime spree, though, involves, at the very least, here's what we know: elements of the DOJ, elements of the FBI, and that goes also over to the Steele dossier and the Russiagate hoax and things like that, too. I like how they keep trotting out, well, Manafort was found guilty of colluding with the Russians. Well, kind of, sort of, not really. Most of those charges date to the Bush administration, but that nuance is always left out in community notes, I notice. Now we're hearing it involves the IRS. It involves literally suppressing the state of Delaware in its own attempted investigation and case against Hunter Biden. Again, just so that the federal government could take over the case and undercharge him. The state of Delaware probably would have levied felony charges, but they were disallowed from doing so. Somehow the 10th Amendment, I guess, doesn't apply in this situation. The Fed simply came in, asserted superiority, said, no, it's our investigation now. You can't have a special counsel. You're not even allowed to do more than hold an informal investigation. We're not going to allow you to do that. And this is the state of Delaware. It's not exactly a MAGA country. If you don't think that the state of Delaware is capable of doing the slap on the wrist thing for Hunter Biden, then why on earth would we believe that federal agencies de facto run by Joe Biden and his cabal at this point wouldn't do the same thing? It wasn't even a slap on the wrist. 100 days probation or something like that for 2 felony counts with a plea deal. Plea deals being normal, but, it's amusing nonetheless. When you've got a person dead to rights, and it's a significant individual who should have known better, and it's at the tune of, $1 million or something, you'd think that probably something other than probation would be forthcoming. You'd think that the weapons charge, certainly you'd be looking into it. I have no doubt that they won't bother to investigate that further. They've already decided not to charge him, or hey, no, we'll give him, again, it's a misdemeanor. You lied on a government form. It doesn't matter that it's technically supposed to be a felony. We'll get you on some lesser included or something. You lied we'll put you in jail for a week. And you'll have your own cell, trust me. It's not gonna be thrown in with Bubba. We're seeing malfeasance and corruption on a level, again, that you haven't really seen in over 100 years in the United States. It's like hearkening back to the Gilded Age. It's not so much like the 20s, it's more, maybe the 1820s, I suppose, long before the Gilded Age. Carpetbagging wasn't as much of a thing back then. A couple of the founders were still alive. It boggles the mind, actually. It boggles the mind that people are tolerating it, too. Half the country is so brainwashed, they think that nothing is wrong here. They actually trust government agencies to tell them the truth. I noticed that Republicans do that under Republican administrations, by the way. As we've seen, that strategy may not be so wise after all. That's about all. Peace out.